I could never like go without milk or eggs or something just because like it's in my daily routine.
There are things like in the world where you have like the clothes you're wearing, for example. They could be made by young children who have to pay hard labor. But what is like the reason that you rather fight for animals than for these children? Like why are they less important than these animals?
Maar zo van volgens mij naar veel.
You wanna have a conversation with me?
Oh, can I? Oh.
Yeah, sure, of course.
In English.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
So first of all, what do you think veganism is?
Well, sorry.
No worries.
Veganism, or it's like you can't eat any products from like animals, so not drink like.
Why do you think we do that?
Because it's really bad for the animals if they're like kept in a really strict environment.
Yeah, so veganism is the opposition of treating animals as objects. If you think animals deserve to live, then theoretically you should be vegan, right? Because being vegan just means we think animals don't deserve to die. They have a right to their own life and the right to their own body, and they get to do. We just follow through with it.
But for example, if you like milk a cow and you drink the milk, why is that bad for the cow? Because you're just milking, you're not hurting the cow necessarily.
Do you know what happens in the dairy industry? I assume you don't know because.
Well, I don't know.
So why do you think cows produce milk?
What?
Why do you think cows produce milk?
Well, because they're forced, like sort of like.
So cows produce milk, they're mammals. They produce milk just like any other mammals when they have babies. So what farmers do is they forcefully impregnate the cows. They put their hands up their anus, hold their cervix, and inject bull semen in their vagina. After 9 months, when the baby is born, they're actually holding a thing that's called, the industry term is called a rape rack.
Okay.
Yeah, they're held by their neck, and when they do that, So after 9 months, when the baby is born, because the milk has to go for human consumption, the baby gets separated from the mother so that they don't drink the milk. If the baby's a male, they go to the slaughterhouse, they get killed because they're useless to the industry. If the baby's a female, they get put into the same cycle as their mothers, year over year, forceful impregnation. And after 6 to 8 years, when they can no longer produce enough that the farmer thinks they're viable, they all go to the slaughterhouse. And they can live up to 20 years, so they don't live even half their life.
Wow.
That's why we don't consume dairy products.
Okay, yeah, I understand that.
So how do you feel about any of it?
Well, it's not good, obviously.
It's not good,
So yeah, I think I definitely think it's good to be vegetarian.
Yeah.
And I think that's easier than veganism because I could never like go without milk or eggs or something just because like it's in my daily routine. So like I couldn't. But meat I could like go without. I don't think that's like a big deal.
But do you think there's any difference between meat and dairy for the animals given what you just heard about?
Yes, but I do think it's a little less bad for them.
I would say it's actually worse for the animals because in the meat industry, a lot of the babies stay with the mother after they're born, whereas in the dairy industry, all of them get separated, and that's already bad enough. Like imagine.
Interrupting Chip here. The reality is that the dairy industry feeds the beef industry, and even in cases where cows are solely raised for their flesh, they still get separated from their mothers.
All of these animals have a maternal instinct. They want to be with their babies, so separating them is never good. And always cows feel sad afterwards. So.
Yeah. No, okay, yeah, I get that.
And the forceful impregnation is a form of rape after all,
of course,
right? Because they don't choose to be impregnated, right? So the question is, do you want to be complicit in this?
No.
You don't want to be complicit in this, but you are. When you pay animal product, when you pay for animal products, you are complicit in this, right? Yeah. So then, what is keeping you from being vegan? Is it just a habit thing?
I think it's just a habit, and I couldn't it's like a big change if you like scrap all of that from your life. And also like my parents cook and stuff, so I don't necessarily always make the food. So then they would also have to change to my lifestyle. So it's like it's difficult too.
Yeah.
Jay, wil je iets toevoegen? Kom maar.
I've got a question.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Like first one is about eggs, like you said about milk. How does it work with eggs?
So in hatcheries, what happens in hatcheries is that where the chicken that lay eggs, basically.
Yeah.
So in those hatcheries, there's people who, when the baby is born, they look at the baby and they say, this is a male, this is a female. Females go on into biological farms, into free-range farms, or maybe in even your backyard farm. And those chickens lay eggs, right?
Yeah.
And there's obviously issues already with that because some farms may treat chickens badly. They keep them in small containers or whatever. But what happens is the male chicks from the start that are useless, that cannot lay eggs, and when an egg hatches, there's a 50-50 chance that there's a male or a female. So just as many female hens who lay eggs there's as many male hens who lay. And all of them on their first day of life, they go into an industrial blender, into an alive. So they just get dropped in this and then, bam, blended up alive. And that's what happens to to male chicks in the egg industry, right? This is like 70% of the cases, and the rest they either get gassed to death, or like they just get smashed on the ground.
Interrupting Chip here. After further reading into it, the other method of killing male baby chicks is not them getting smashed on the ground, but rather having their necks dislocated by workers, which is still incredibly cruel.
This is standard practice across the board. It happens everywhere. So this is even before you know if the egg is biological or free range or anything.
But like what? Like there are things like in the world where you have like the closure ring, for example. They could be made by young children who have to pay hard labor. But what is like the reason that you rather fight for animals than for these children? Like why are they less important than these animals?
I don't think they're less important, obviously. Of course they're just as important, right? Each life matters to their selves as much. My life matters to me just as much as your life matters to you, just as much as any animal life matters to them, right?
Yes.
I don't think it's necessarily that one is more important than the other. I chose to fight for the animals because I think I'm better suited this way. But when there is a protest for people, I also speak on behalf of people. But if you're asking me that, imagine this. This is an animal rights issue, right? Because we enslave these animals, we exploit them, we abuse them, and we kill them. These animals don't have the right to their own life. They don't have the right to their own body.
Same for people.
Same for people.
Are you checking which clothes you're wearing?
I do. Every time I buy clothes, I try to check, or I try to buy them secondhand. But the only difference between this and that is that imagine me standing here and speaking for women's rights, and you attacking me and saying, "Yeah, but look at your clothes," right? Like imagine kind of how that feels like. It's kind of. They're two separate issues, and I might be a hypocrite when it comes to human rights issues, right? You may say, I'm a person who goes around doing bad stuff to people, but that doesn't mean that the vegan message, that the message that I'm trying to communicate is bad, right? It's not about myself, it's about the message. It's not about vegans, it's about the message. It's about not exploiting animals.
But we do eat meat. Like, does that matter? Meat. Like, we hebben letterlijk een dolle kebab net gehad.
Oh yes.
Okay, well let me ask you this. Would you eat dog meat?
Never tried it.
Never tried it, but would you eat it?
Yeah.
There are people, but would you eat it?
No, personally no.
You wouldn't, yeah. So then
Okay,
what?
legit, ik zou het wel proberen.
So then the question is, what is the difference between a dog and a cow that says it's okay to kill one and not the other?
More normalized.
More normalized. But then if we normalize something, should the fact that something is normal in society be a deciding factor whether we should do it or not?
Doesn't. Wait, what? Sorry?
Should the fact that
Sorry.
No worries.
Go.
Should the fact that if something is normalized or not decide whether we should do it or not? Does it make it better just because it's normal?
Not better, but it just happens more because it's normal.
Yeah, it happens more. But you're still complicit in it, aren't you?
Oh, moet toch gaan? Was it?
Yeah, sorry.
You're complicit, yes.
Yeah, you're still complicit when you... Because imagine, when you buy an animal product, you pay, everything that I just described, you pay for them to do more of that. You say, I want more of this to be done. That's what you do with your money. It's because it's a supply and demand market.
Yeah.
So then if...
Think about it.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Sorry, gewoon nog steeds harder maken. Yeah.
Can I give you a card?
Of course, yeah.
Just to look more into it. And then you get to decide what you want to do, okay?
Okay.
I think it's important that we get informed and then we decide what we want. There's nothing wrong with knowing more about it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but so
Thank you.
yeah, maybe share it amongst each other. Let me just tell you real quick, on that website right there, if you scan this code right here, or if you go on this website and type in this code, you'll get a thing called the most important speech you'll ever hear.
I'm going to challenge your belief systems today, so certain parts of the speech will be intense.
Okay.
It's a speech about a person who was in US who talks about animal industry.
Okay, yeah.
It just explains all the methods that I just explained to you. Watch that, get informed, and then you decide for yourself if you want to be complicit in it or not, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay, nice. Nice to speak to you. Bye.